Welcome, ladies and gents, to another episode of The Row Show. And we are closing up our Olympic preview by having a look at the quads and the eights today. As always, it is me, Jake Green, and Lawrence. Welcome back.
Yeah, this is my house.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange.
Doing it the other way around.
It's strange welcoming you in your own house, considering that I'm the one that got you. But it's good to be back. And like I said, we're wrapping things up. We're having a look at the quads and the eights, the fastest boats at the Olympic Games in Paris, and very exciting stuff. I think, Lawrence, without any, wasting time, I think we should get into the women's quad.
Yeah. I think I've really enjoyed this series that we've done building up to the Paris Games. Has been incredible. I think just personally, I'm so excited for racing coming up next week. I feel so equipped to watch racing coming down the track, and not only, as we've always said, not only just looking for that gold medal, but looking for those big battles, for second, third place, the battles to make the A finals. It's just going to be brutal all the way down the track and throughout the week. Even the heats, I feel like people are going to be laying out huge performances.
Yeah.
Especially considering, Martin Cross has been so kind as to give us a bit of sneak peek of the video.
Yeah, we've been getting a bit of a inside look to the training, which has been very cool to see.
And even there, the weather, it looks bumpy, it looks rough, it very much a crosswind. So I think that's going to play into crews that put out big performances in the heat. It's going to count because, if you that close with your competitors and then they start to change the lanes and redraw, then that's where you want to be. That's where you want to just have that little bit of advantage. Is going to make a difference.
It adds to the unpredictability of the Olympic Games. Across all our episodes, we've spoken about how the Olympics is a different regatta in the sense that it always comes with, uncertain variables that crews can't really prepare for. It's often on courses that are not typically used within the circuit of rowing. And you often find, because it's a part of a larger Olympic Games, it's not, the course isn't being selected primarily for the rowing. It's being selected as part to sort of conveniently fit in with Olympic Games.
Yes.
So these all add to certain unpredictabilities. And for our listeners out there, the last two Olympic Games have been affected by weather. The schedule has changed. They've moved racing around because of the weather in Rio and in Tokyo. So again, it's going to,
and London. They swapped lanes at London.
In London. Well, I wasn't, aware of things back then. But it's been a thing that's been happening, and especially I think in the women's quad, where it is quite a tightly packed field without any out and out dominating, like one dominant crew. It's quite a tightly packed field where you've had crews beating each other throughout the years, and it's an interesting mix of China being the Olympic champions and the world record holders, but they sort of fallen out of form. They're not as, dominant as they used to be.
Because they were super dominant.
Very dominant going
into Tokyo, having very established results and an established crew. And you said that their crew hasn't changed.
No, the crew hasn't changed from the last Olympics. They've pretty much been a consistent unit since 2018. So a very experienced crew. And, I feel like once you set a world record time in an event, it gives you a certain confidence. It gives you a certain belief in your potential as a Olympic prospect. You might not be in form, but I'm sure if you have that world best time in the back of your pocket, you know that on your best day, no one else can touch you. So picking up with China, they might not be the favorites going in. They were world champions in 2022, but they finished, I think, bronze last year. So they're a little bit out of the mix at the moment. But, they certainly someone to look out for in this event going to the Olympics.
Just talking about that history, we've been going through this on all the other events, but China world record holders set their world record at the Tokyo Games, 6:05. I am always surprised, and we'll probably go back to it again when we go through the men's quads, but how fast the quads are. You're looking at these times, 6:05. It's so much. It's like there's only 4 people in this boat. It's so much smaller than the 8, yet it is right there on the 8 performance and 8 speed, and quite significantly quicker than the 4.
Yeah, it's quite. I don't know if it was about significantly faster before, but I think the it's consistently. I think if you take an average of the quads A final times, it is definitely quite significantly faster than 4. I think the four's world best time is a bit of an outlier, but I think
I'm just saying
in your
across.
average,
I'm saying like the quad in my mind, it's closer to the 4, but on paper, it's closer to the 8s.
yes,
It's fast. It's like it. There's a serious speed in that boat, and it makes it a very difficult boat to row.
very
I don't know
difficult.
how much quads you've rowed. I've rowed a little bit.
Zero, basically nothing.
I've rowed it once or twice since school, quite a lot at school, and I mean, it is. It's just it's all about that connection speed, how quick you can get through the
Yes.
water. If you think of the differences, got that longer arc to the sweep or the sweep rowing. So you're spending time in the water, and you've got to be at a high tempo and so much speed through the water. So
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. It's the fastest sculling boat that's on offer in rowing. I think the skill factor is quite big. You've seen in the past crews struggling with, when conditions get fast, they get a bit rough. I think even though it's a bigger boat, I still think it's at a higher risk of mistakes just because of that skill element. Everything's happening really fast. You have 2 blades you need to take care of as opposed to one in
yeah,
sweep.
and your stroke length is longer.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you having to spend more, well, the same time in the water, but over a lot more distance. So no, it's a very difficult
Yeah.
boat class.
And then, getting back into the
Oh,
legacy of the
now I want to interrupt because we're talking about the quad, and then did you see that for like the build up into the Paris Games, they rode the Stumfley? I think it's a 24.
Yes, I did see that. The biggest,
Yeah,
the biggest state. I did. It looked good, hey?
yeah,
They obviously had good rowers in it because
mm.
in my head, I always thought when you get past, 16 rowers, there's got to be too much delay between the person stroke and the people at the back. But that thing waxed.
Do you what do you think is like the optimum rowing speed for a boat?
What do you mean the optimum?
Like,
Like,
what's the fastest 2K time? What's the combination of athletes, or like number of athletes that you would put
I feel
on?
like the more athletes you have, the faster
No,
it's going.
because surely that 24 is not it's not going faster than an 8.
It's going much faster than.
You don't think it's like going to take so long to get up to
It's
speed?
going to take long to get up speed, but it's going to hit a much higher top speed.
Oh, I don't know, Jake.
I think your limiting factor will be a structural issue with
Like,
having
also, you got
something so long
people are
made
going to
out of
make
carbon
you got
fiber.
more people,
Yes,
more
but I'm just saying
mistakes.
in technically if you had a 2K race, 24 of the best athletes in that boat and they don't make a mistake. If they do make a mistake, they're dead. But if they don't make a mistake, they got to go really
Okay, but
fast.
then what? So then does more athletes just mean more speed?
I
What if
think
you
to a
have
point,
40,
but like I said, I think it's a
50
structural. It's
athletes,
not the athletes. It's the
100 athletes?
if you can make a boat big enough, I think it just keeps getting faster. I don't think there's a
Not,
point.
no, I don't believe you.
No, it must.
No,
100%.
no, because it also gets so difficult to row.
Yeah, it gets difficult to write. Yeah, actually, I do see your
I
point.
think that like your peak is at like 12. I think 12 to like 15 people, and then it's going to start going slower.
I don't know. I think it's probably more than that. But you are right. I didn't think of the skill element. You probably
Like, think how fast that thing is going to be going.
imagine you racing under 1 minute per 500.
Because what is the 8 rows at like is it 120?
Or you
One,
just rig it to rate low,
or like one, so
like
heavy.
30
It's
strokes per
like
minute. It's just
huge bats, just
yeah,
these like enormous oars.
yeah, I think so.
Why don't you just make a Viking ship then?
I mean, we're getting into that. We're getting into that territory.
Okay, we've got
Getting we
completely
we got a little bit
sidetracked.
sidetracked. Back to the quads. Looking back at the legacy, you have China who are Olympic champions in Tokyo, Germany Olympic champions in Rio, and in fact, Germany are by far historically the most dominant crew in this event. They have serious pedigree in the women's quad. From 1988 to 2008, they were Olympic champions. 2012, and from 2012 to um, 2012 up to Rio. Sorry, I'm confused here. They Olympic medalists. Tokyo is the first time they haven't medaled at the
Nice.
Olympics since 1988.
Yeah,
So
that is insane.
that's some
It's
serious
such
pedigree.
a serious stat, and I mean a lot of world records along the way.
Lots of world records. I mean, what do we have here? In our notes here, we have China current holders at 605, but then Germany are the last three holders of the
Yeah,
world's best time.
606, 609, 610. But Jake, let's chat about some of these other crews. The Netherlands, big
Netherlands,
contender.
big contenders. I wouldn't say just based off world champs performance last year and how things have been going this season. They're very strong contenders at the games. Certainly could be Olympic champions, but I think they need to have a step up at the Olympics and beat GB, who have been sort of the dominant crew this
So
season.
you're putting GB as your top
Yeah, I think
seed.
so. You know, they were world champions last year. They're definitely not sort of unbeatable. They were beaten this season at the first World Cup. They came fourth, but they definitely seem to be on their day the faster crew out of these crews that we're going to be talking about. And it looks, you know, it's a young lineup. They're very hungry. They've just been steadily improving on their results from season to season. So for me, it's a natural favorites for Olympic champions in Paris, but not like out of all the events we've been talking about. I think this is one of the closer ones when we're trying to discuss Olympic champions. It might not be on the same level as the pair and the men's four, but it's certainly in that bracket in terms of who can be Olympic champion.
And then a bit of a kind of wild card that we want to chat about is Ukraine. Obviously, going through late qualifications, you know, and Ukraine, I feel like this whole cycle has always been an impressive nation, you know, going through what's happening in their home country and then still being able to come and represent and compete. You know, it just adds a whole new dimension that I think most people probably don't understand.
Yeah.
I certainly don't understand how they're able to come in and show up and race, but I suppose it's a bit of pride. It's a battle in their own way, but they've gone through late qualification and they've changed their crew.
Yeah, I don't know because usually for the listeners out there, again, the crew that races at the last chance qualification regatta in Lucerne uh, is not allowed to change that lineup going towards Olympics except for medical reasons. So the only thing I can think of is there's been an injury, or there has been an injury to the lineup post Lucerne, so they've made a change, which is quite interesting. Not often you see that, but super experienced crew. They have a Olympic champion in their boat from 2012, Anastasia um, Kov Kovinkova. Apologize for pronunciation, but Olympic champion from 2012. Some serious experience. All of these rowers have been part of the quad unit for at least since 2016. And the Ukrainian women's crowd is obviously something that they focus on quite a lot in Ukraine because I've noticed through the research and looking at the results, it has been a big focus for that country, you know, since at least London. So there's a lot of, again, you know, within each of these crews, there's a story, there's a narrative, there's a legacy that they're all going to be sort of rowing within when they get to the Olympics, and certainly in the Ukrainian women's quad, Olympic champions, like I said in 2012, they've taken a bit of a dip this cycle, but they sort of announced themselves in a big way this season and won the final qualification regatta, and certainly they look poised to take an Olympic medal in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, really well said there, Jake. And I think that's the beauty of the Olympic Games is now we're going in, you know, you don't obviously we know who's favorites and we know who's been performing this cycle, but there's so much unknown going in and everyone has their own story, their own journey, huge battles of, you know, selection and just getting to the games. You know, every athlete has that story, and that's why we have the show and why we interview these
There are only
athletes.
9 crews here.
Yeah.
So you think of like you've whittled the field down a lot already. So you
Yes.
only have the top of the
Yeah.
creme de la creme at the Olympic
And you don't
Games.
want to be in a B final with 9 crews.
You don't want to be in a B final in that. Yeah.
So the men's quad though going across also 9 crews qualified for the games, same as the women, and a little bit different. Whereas I say the women, it's really tight between them, the different crews. I think it's very difficult to predict. I think we're gonna, or at least I'll put my money on the British there. But I mean, that's a big gamble,
Yeah.
and they could easily lose it. Whereas the men's quad,
It's
bit more
yeah, I
straightforward.
must say it's been the it's since 2019 the men's quad it's always been about that Dutch quad, and it's in fact they've made such a big impact that they're larger than the event. They have such a good reputation that they're one of those crews where are you all sort of notice them and you know the rowers and you know their legacy and stuff. Kind of like the Kiwi pair, regardless of what event you rode in, you knew about the Kiwi pair. Like they had a presence, not just within the event, but outside the event, and in sort of other
100,
crews will look
yeah,
towards them.
100%. And then, but like, even though they've been so dominant in this event, the world record and the world best times are so incredibly close in the quad. And it goes back to what we were discussing earlier, how fast this event is, how fast these crews are actually going. So, like, look at the data. The Dutch have the world record set in the Tokyo Games 5:32. The previous record they only beat by 0.23, and that was set in 2014. So I mean, 6 years ago, or 6 years before Tokyo, 10 years
That
now.
was 10 years ago.
Yeah, my maths is better this episode.
Yeah.
Like, last episode, I was
Oh
struggling a
shit.
little bit, but and in the previous record, only 1 second slower than that, set in 2012. And then the top 8 times only split by less than 2 seconds.
That's close.
It's like, it's complete opposite to some of these other events that we're
There's such
talking
big
about.
chunks like lightweight women's double. They've had 7 seconds in the last 4 years. The quads had 2 seconds in 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's obviously it's a boat that's had very. I think you find it though when you get the faster the boat gets, like the smaller and smaller and smaller the increments seem to get with the world best times.
Well, it's because you need so many more watts to
Yeah,
increase the speed, or so much more power, and
yeah, that's a good point.
and you made a good point the other day where the weather conditions, I think, are more forgiving on these bigger boats. So, there's a wider window to set fast times
Yeah,
in
that's
these
true.
boats than in the single. The
Smaller
single
boats.
needs perfect conditions and the pair needs perfect conditions. Whereas these big boats, it needs to be fast. It doesn't have to be flat and smooth, and it can be a little bit choppy, and they can deal with the weather because
Yeah,
they've got that extra bit of mass.
that is true, and yeah, it's a very really fast event. Like when I always watch them race, it seems quite in my head faster than what the actual time suggests, and definitely a boat class that requires very high degree of skill. But getting back onto the cruise, we've spoken about the Dutch. They are clearly the favorites. It's a slightly different lineup from Tokyo. You have Finn Florin and Lennart van Leeuwenhoek. They're the wonder sculler from the Netherlands that won that amazing Europeans in 2023, joined by Toon Vierten and Koen Metsatakis, who were veterans from Tokyo Olympic Games. So a very experienced crew, definitely the crew that people are going to be looking out for. But the interesting part of this event is not necessarily the Dutch, but it's what's happening behind the Dutch, and that the battle for the smaller medals over the last few years have been super highly contested, and it's developed some of the more noticeable rivalries in the sport. And out of the rest of the bunch, you have Italy and Poland, who have been fighting each other and the Dutch for
But
supremacy in this event
and
for a number of years.
because this carries on from Tokyo, even building up to Tokyo. The Dutch were clearly in the lead, clearly the favorites, but the race for silver and bronze was really spicy, really hot between Italy, Poland, GB, and then Tokyo came around. Bit of weather and a little bit of spice, and
Yeah,
really threw some spanners in the work.
Italy
Italy
noticeably.
from the lead. Hey, I think it's around 600 meters into the race. Massive crab. I think the crab is by Rambaldi.
It is by Rambaldi, and you bringing up a really interesting point. They have made a super late selection change. So Italy actually announced their on social media Olympic cruise a couple of weeks back, and they announced their double with Matteo Sartori and Luca Rambaldi as a combination for the Olympics. And then the official entries came out on the Olympic site, and Luca's now in the quad and
It's very Italian.
very Italian. You never know
They
what's going
probably
to
doing
happen.
like 15 to 20 2K races, and we're like, you know what? We need to make a change.
But it's very cool because it's like a chance for redemption and makes it spicier because
Yeah.
Italy Luca's now got a chance
So okay,
to
so
go back.
Luca got they were in the lead, but earlier
It's early
part
in the
of
race.
the
Early in the
race, in the
race.
lead, they catch a crab, they come fifth at the games.
Fourth. They came fourth at the
No,
games.
Poland, I think, come fourth.
Oh, they did. They
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
fifth at the games. Yeah.
Come fifth at the games. Poland comes fourth, and both of these crews are
Now the
like,
ones.
well, they even then though they were big medal
Yeah, they were big
contenders. They
medal
were
contenders.
big medal contenders. They were going to be upset. They're coming back, and so I think this race for second and third, because I think we're both in agreement that the Dutch are in a league of their own, and they have to kind of make a mistake for the other crews to kind
I
of
think
catch
so.
them. But Poland, GB, Italy, and I see you've written the Swiss as well. You think can be
Yeah,
come
I
in and
thought
box
it's
for
like
medal.
a wild card sort of entry. They've medaled this year at Europeans, beating Italy and Poland to the second. Sorry, they beat Poland and GB um, to the podium. So I thought it's worth putting them in the mix since they've beaten those two crews. But however, like, Europeans, they were the lanes. So it wasn't the most sort of the best environment to really get a good sense of how fast to cruise. But certainly put them there. Again, it's a younger crew. They're improving season on season on season. They're super hungry. And you never know how these things work. Often these younger crews get to Olympics and they're sort of improving much faster than some of the other crews that are sort of plateauing and they're making very small incremental gains. And again, we're talking about how unpredictable the Olympics can be. It's just now Switzerland rock up, but they've had a great preparation. They obviously have a good race. And then GB, Poland, Italy, Netherlands have a bad race, and then things get interesting.
And also, there's like a bit of the unpredictability part goes a little bit one step deeper because obviously it's Olympic Games. It's it's huge pressure. It's huge kind of it's everyone's dream. That's why everyone that's at the start line is rowing. They dream about being at the games and like how people are going to deal with that pressure. And it works both ways. Young crews can come in and shoot the lights out because they're managing to it's their first games, they got nothing to lose, they're just putting it all out there. But also veterans and experienced people that have been at multiple games maybe feel the pressure a little bit more.
And the expectation too.
Exactly. So it's there's so many variables, and that's what makes the Olympic Games into this insane sporting event across the board.
Certainly.
And definitely for us, the rowing is going to be absolutely incredible.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much a wrap for the main squad. I thought it was interesting. The Italians and the Poland and Polish have raced each other 8 times this Olympic cycle. Italy have come out victors 3 times, Poland 5 times. So that's a very, very
But
close
now
rivalry
Italy
there.
has bolstered their
They
crew a little
have both
bit.
their crew, so you
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen. And then GB also the Olympic silver medalists. New lineup from there. I think they only have one member from that crew that came second. They have been finishing quite consistently on the podium, but again, they never seem to be able to get that many wins. They finished second many times. So in the men's squad, you certainly have the Dutch up there. I would say Poland for second. No, I'll take that back. Dutch number one, Italy
Italy.
number two, Poland number three. That's
Yeah,
my
that's I think
with Luca Rambaldi.
I might put the British into the third place. I think they have a lot of history in the boat. Their crews have been around for so long. There's all that depth that we always talk about.
Yeah.
I think that they will, and they medalists from Tokyo. So
And
I
I feel
think they
like the
could do it.
British also have I feel like they know how to do well at Olympic Games.
Yes. No, they
They've got
cruise.
this, they've got,
Yeah.
obviously their country's got that legacy of Olympic excellence.
Okay. Let's go
Women's
into the
eights.
8. So the 8s for me, you're now going even less. Only 7 crews here.
You don't want to row in the B final.
You definitely don't want to row the V final. In fact, it's so brutal. It's not
No
there.
V
There's no
final.
V final, Jake. You race a heat. One crew goes to the A of each heat goes to the A final.
Repechage.
5 people race a rep. 1 person goes home.
Yeah.
You can finish your Olympic Games with 2 races in the belt. It's not very, very pleasant.
No, it's not very pleasant, and so it's a long way to go just for that to happen, especially in the women's eight.
And then, but I want to like pitch on the women's 8 because I feel like we quite brutal, we're quite harsh on the women's 8 oftentimes in the early parts of the season because there's like one or two crews of competing, and it's really difficult to kind of build any kind of like hype around that event because it's always a bit lacking. But this is where it's gonna come through and shine.
100%.
At the World Champs, at the Olympic Games is where this event comes alive, and we realize how important the 8s are. I mean, I remember you saying earlier this year that you'd happily see the 8s get cut, and I think I'm going to chat to you.
I stand by that comment.
I'm going to chat to you after the games.
And I stand by it. Stand by it. But anyway, so you're talking about the heats and the rep. Interestingly, at the last Olympic Games, both Olympic champions for the men, New Zealand, and for the women, Canada, went through the repechage.
Yeah, and Romania set the world record, I think, in the heat.
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes in the 8s, that repechage, in fact, is probably better to get to the final because you get an extra race in the bag. Think about you there for a week.
I think it was more COVID at Tokyo, though, because people hadn't raced each other. There was a bit of cobwebs, I feel, whereas this season is more, people have raced each other a bit more. But let's just chat on those world records. So Romania 5:52.99, just sneaking under the 5:53, and that was at the Tokyo Games in the heat, and then losing into the final. Must have burnt a lot
badly.
They must actually hate that world record.
No, they probably do,
because you much rather have the gold medal than the world record for sure.
And then actually Canada have the second fastest time. They also set that Olympic Games. It wasn't a world record though. And then before that, again, in these bigger boats, there's smaller intervals between world's best time. Of course, we're talking about the USA, who feature quite heavily on the fastest times ever rolled.
And that's pretty wild. So USA have 2012 at 5:54.17, 2013 5:54.16, 0.01 that they shaved off their record.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's someone that got subbed into that crew that wasn't there the year before.
That made the difference.
It's all me.
It's my time to shine.
But no, really, really awesome. I can't wait to watch the 8s.
Yeah, me too.
I really dig them when, especially as we said, at these big events.
Yeah,
the blue ribbon events come out to shine, and this one is. I feel like this event is open at the moment.
I don't know. I was going to say.
I think for me, it's wide open.
It's hard because Romania have only raced once this season.
And now they've stacked their women's 8.
They have stacked their women's 8. They're not doubling up, which I think is going to be a huge factor at these Olympic Games, is the fact that Romania aren't doubling up. They are world champions in 2022 and 2023. So they clearly are the sort of favorites on paper. However, they've only raced this year at Europeans. They are the European champions, but they haven't raced crews like Australia, USA, and Canada, who have all been strong this season. USA have also stacked their 8-2, which is an interesting point. They've cannibalized their 4 from last year, which was their top boat. And now they've stuck them in the 8 as well as the pair. They've stuck one of the rows from the pair into the 8. So the USA are going back to their roots.
This is why it's so spicy. You got Romania coming out with all the guns firing.
Including Simona Radis from the double, which is really interesting.
Putting Simona in the 8, I feel like, without doubling up it's
a statement of intent.
And also, you also got to remember that we have not seen a Romanian women's 8, no matter the combination, without massive doubling up. Every time we've seen them race, they've, a good 2 to 6 people have raced an extra event. So now we're going to see this come down the track at full speed, and I think that's going to be dangerous. As you said, USA starting to look dangerous, also coming
And
with the
they've got that
Thunder, starting
legacy.
to build it,
It probably
and
burns them that they aren't the best in the world.
yeah, no, it must hurt a lot. And then you got Canada, Olympic champions, lots to prove,
Late
and
rattle,
having a very late rattle this
winning
cycle.
Lucerne and beating. They beat GB and they beat USA and they beat Australia. In fact, at Lucerne.
Yeah.
So the only crew they haven't beat is Romania. So yeah, again, it's very interesting because Canada.
Also, we've been singing the praises of the USA coach. What's his name?
Josie
Josie Van
Verdonschot.
Dongscott. Then if he wins the 8 now, women's 8 even more than the men's 8, he
Yes,
is the hero.
he is the
He
hero.
is gonna. They will never get rid of him. Then
Yeah,
he will
certainly.
own that role for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I mean,
That'll be a massive achievement.
It'll be a huge achievement.
And then GB as well.
GB certainly they haven't not as dominant as their counterparts on the men's side, but they've been sort of consistently finishing in the upper end of the A finals. They
You have it that they finished second 3 times.
yeah, they've finished second 3 times this year to all different crews. So again, it's a very similar thing to the British men's quad, where they seem to be able to, and the Dutch men's 8. So the Dutch men's 8 and I think the GB women's 8 are sort of in the same category. They always finishing second, but they never seem to be able to win a race. So definitely strong medal contenders, but they haven't demonstrated the ability to come out on top in a stacked 8s event. So is Paris going to be their time to do that? We'll see. Which is it's interesting because the quality of some of these crews that might not be as consistent, but show the capability, the killer instinct to win, like Canada, I think is going to count for more than being consistent and finishing second and third.
Also, how much do you think like your counterpart, like say for you, if you're Australia, like how much do you think the men's 8 has an impact on the women's 8 and vice versa?
I have no idea.
I think it must
I don't
be.
know.
I feel like it's like because you have more people, there's like a big culture element in your crew. So like if the culture is bang on, and it's going to it's going to leak into the rest of the squad and especially into another big team. So I think those two teams will feed off each other quite well, and especially so like I would say like especially for USA, Australia, GB, like if either 8's doing well, it's going to kind of rally the other 8 to kind of do that.
Yeah,
little
I
bit
think
of
there is
step
an
up.
element of like that confidence, but I know that
But I think that happens across the board, not only 8's. Like I think once who did we chat to who spoke about this? It was like Pete Reed or something, where like you so caught up in your race, and then you're watching your teammates start to win, and you're like, oh, okay, wait.
No, I mean it definitely has an impact. I'm sure at the Olympic Games when you see the different your quad race the day before and they win, it obviously emboldens you because you're coming from the same program.
And like in two ways, because obviously over time, over the history, like over the season, it gives you confidence. If you know that your country or your crews have performed and often and like expect that those medals, obviously that's pressure, but there's a fair bit of confidence that's going to come from that. But then also leading into the the other side of the coin on the day, seeing your teammates and stuff do well, I think definitely boosts you up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the last women's 8 I want to chat about is maybe a bit of the wild card element here, is the Australian women's 8, who seems to be, again, similar to GB, consistently finishing in decent positions. They were bronze medalists from the year before. They finished fourth at Lucerne, but they won the last World Cup. Granted, there were none of these other crews were racing there. So again, they definitely have the capability to finish on the medal table. But they certainly seem, again, I think they need a big step up in their performances to compete against USA, Canada, or Romania coming into the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and I mean, this racing, you have to bring your absolute A game.
Especially in the 8s, because the 8s is like, I feel like you have to start with such a strong statement of intent. You can't let the race develop and then assert yourself. You have to assert yourself from the beginning. You can't wait for the race to come
and from the beginning of the regatta. Like your first race of the regatta, your 100%. Heat is an absolute flat out maximum effort.
Barnstormer.
So
Men's
flipping
8.
to the men's 8. I mean,
Woo!
for me, both. I mean, I'm super excited. Women's 8, men's 8, across the board. I mean, we've often spoken about how we like rowing. World rowing is probably the item that they've ticked off the best. The equality between the men and women's side of racing, and how good both sides. I mean, there isn't. We haven't done a single event here over all of our Olympic previews where we were, this, either side is lacking
Yeah.
and missing athletes. So really, really exciting going forward to to finish off on the men's 8. Yeah, Jake. Wait, you didn't give us a prediction for your
Women's
women's
8.
8.
Romania, cancel that. Canada are going to go back-to-back Olympic champions.
No way.
Back-to-back.
Okay,
USA, silver medal.
I agree.
GB, bronze.
I'm going with you, but I'm just switching Romania to.
No, I think Romania haven't. I feel like not racing Europeans.
Yeah.
I mean, not racing any of the other events. Although, if you think about the New Zealand 8s from last.
Romania. I don't know. Who did we say was going to go second there? Who did I agree with?
said USA.
Yeah. Sorry, Romania, USA, and I'm going to say GB for third.
Okay.
Canada
Interesting.
missing
Canada
out.
missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Australia missing
quite
out.
different. We need to write these things down.
Netherlands. Oh no, we didn't have Netherlands. Okay.
GB. I mean,
Men's 8.
GB men's 8. Men's 8.
This is even harder to call.
It's not hard to call. This is easy to call.
Yeah.
It can only be one.
GB.
GB. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. So the men's 8, fastest event in rowing. World record 5:18. That is disgusting. And that was set by Germany back in 2017 at Poland, the same World Cup that Robbie Manson broke the record.
It's pretty weird that those two, and I mean, it goes against
what we've been talking about. Yeah.
They need less.
And it also goes against how we say that you have certain regattas popping up.
Yeah.
And this regatta is only, I mean, it does kind of pop up because it's men and the men's 8 and men's single. But yeah, it definitely goes against what we've been saying. But 5:18, the only 8 that's gone under 5:19, the only 8 that's rowed 5:18. So really fast mark. But one thing about the men's 8 is I often find is that they're perhaps one of the events that can row very close to that world record. I don't want to say often, but it's not like a surprise to see an 8 going under 5:20.
No, there's a lot of crews that have gone under 5:20, and the speed of the 8. I mean, we've been speaking about these big boats and how fast they are today, and it always blows my mind. Do you know? I would just. That's one thing I could go back to rowing to experience is going through the 1500 meter mark under 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually crazy to think about that. Under 4 minutes.
Under 4 minutes, you're going through the 1500.
It's almost a different physiological effort to some of the other events.
Yes.
Hey?
Women's single 707 ish. And men's 8:5:18. It's like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot different time. Physical effort.
It is a different physical effort.
But anyway, really cool. And awesome stuff. I would still love to see that record go, but I think we'll have to wait a little bit longer.
But I think let's get into the cruise that we're going to be watching at this event. Let's start with the top dogs.
So I understand that the British are the favorites going into this, but I don't know what's happened, but I feel like all the coaches, they've each woken up in their own countries.
And they've decided,
you know what, this Olympic Games, Paris 2024 is the year I'm winning the 8. Yeah. And they've decided, you know what, I have all these other crews that they're so good, these other crews, they can do so well, but fuck it, we're going
for the
8. And coming from a small country that rows these small boats and never has had a chance to kind of row the 8, I don't quite understand it. I mean, a little bit understand it. Like if you have the opportunity, it's so prestigious. It's so it's the powerhouse event. If you can
Yeah.
win the 8,
And it's like it's a team. It's like it's genuinely a team effort. Like it's an event where you're not talking about names. You're talking about nations.
yes.
It's about your country in the 8. So I think it's really cool to be a part of something like that.
Okay, so the
Top
British,
dogs,
they've got to be
without a
the
doubt.
favorites.
Almost perfect record. Besides that's very close loss to Australia last year at Lucerne. Besides that, absolutely dominant. I think the two closest races are the one in Lucerne, and then the USA got close to them in Lucerne this year, and Romania and the Dutch got very close to beating them at Europeans last year. So definitely a crew that's not unbeatable, but they've for me they've shown that they are the fastest crew in the world, and when they are put under pressure, they have the ability to bounce back and fight. I just remember the race at Europeans last year where the Dutch and the Romanians I think were ahead of them, and they just knuckled down and they beat the Romanians at their own game, sprinting, to take away the win. So I feel like if you're going to beat the British, you're going to have number one best performance of your life to beat them.
Agree, 100%. So let's go on to some of these crews that have stacked against them. Australia.
Stacked.
Never won the 8.
Cannibalize.
They've never won the 8 at the Olympics. Obviously, coach is like, you know what? It's do or die, Cody.
It's time. They saw what New Zealand did at the last Olympics. They're like, fuck, I want to do that as well.
They're all in. They really want to get there, and they've put all their athletes, bar Alex Hill, into the 8.
So I want to ask you, what are their chances of winning?
Low.
But like, talk to me about like what is how much?
What
of
is
an
that thought
impact,
process?
But what do you think the impact is that the 3 guys from the 4 are now racing in the 8? What impact do you think they've had?
No, not enough, dude.
Not enough.
I mean, they were good, and they are the only crew to beat the British. But I just feel like, I don't know, they just a little bit lackluster to me. Like they're missing a little bit of there's something in the 8 there that they're not cracking on. It's like when you watch, I don't know, the Germans in a 4 pair. Compared,
you are burning bridges, yeah.
No, like compared to the 8. Like the Germans are in the 8. Even now, you look at the 8 and you're like, they're supposed to be there. Whereas for me, it just feels like
they don't have the legacy that some of the other countries do in this 8.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with choosing the 8. They're obviously
having a big gamble and going for the 8. They didn't have a good race in Lucerne. They finished outside the medals. I think there was a sense when I watched them race, I got a sense that there was like this expectation that sort of that crushed them a little bit. But they won World Cup 3 again, not against any of the fast crews, but they looked much better at World Cup 3, and I think they put 6-7 seconds into the German 8 at World Cup 3, which is outrageous.
A very good crew.
They are a very good crew. And
they could win. On paper, it's very possible that they come away with a win.
They obviously have this again, I'm talking about the thing about crews not having this killer instinct to win a race. Like, I think that the Australians are in a better position to be Olympic champions than the Dutch.
Yes.
Because I think they know. I feel like the Australian crew,
but the Dutch have got their name written on the silver medal.
Yeah, already. It's like at a World Cup when they start carving your name into the trophy before the game finishes.
We're getting spicy.
Like we are burning bridges. Yeah, we hope that we don't have to ask any of these people to come speak on our show.
No, they're gonna come.
Tell them no.
They're gonna shoot us. Well, you said I listened to your show. You told me I wasn't gonna win a medal. Now look at me.
Yeah.
Okay, Romania. The next one that has stacked
ultimate wild card.
They've stacked this 8.
Stacked it.
Cannibalized all the other boats.
Yeah, it's hard for me because like whenever I look at a Romanian boat, it's got a different crew lineup. So it's hard for me to look at the names and go, okay, I recognize those names. But certainly I recognize Sergiu Bejan. He was racing the 4, and Florin Lahaci, also from the pair in the 4, and Marius Kosmic, who again also in the pair that got silver medal at Olympics. So they've taken from what it looks like their top rowers in their sweep program.
Those are definitely
their top rowers,
top athletes. So.
And you know, Romania, every now and then has an unbelievable performance. Like I'm talking about Europeans last year. And again, the fact that they're not doubling up anymore, I think is going to make a
Because
big
they've been
difference.
doubling up in the 8 as well.
All the time. For some unknown reason, I'm like yelling in my ears. I'm like, you guys aren't winning anything. Why are you doubling up? You're not like the women. Don't do this. This is killing you.
Yeah.
I just see their 4 just row in the 8, then struggle in the 4. And I'm like, you guys could be winning the 4, winning the 8. But this
So
mixing.
can they win the 8?
I think they can. Again, I think Romania might not be most consistent crew, but I think they possess the mentality and the intent to win a race.
So I'm going to go back. I think I said it at the beginning when we did our pairs and fours that I don't think that what they've done not racing this season is good for them.
No, I don't think so.
That being said, they are still such a phenomenal nation, and their federation of rowing has had such a strong Olympic cycle that I do think they are going to get some serious results. I don't know. What I'm saying is if they'd raced more once or twice more this season, I think they would get better results than what they're going to get come next week.
I mean, at this point, the whole country is a wild card in general. Like,
every race.
they get into the race rolling the dice.
But there are crews that are going to get it absolutely bang on,
Yeah,
and there's crews that I think are going to crash and burn.
Yeah,
I think we're going to
so.
see quite a shift. Extreme.
I'll be honest with you. I think this 8, I just look at this and it's giving me big vibes of either going that way or going straight to the top.
Yeah.
Either or, they can happen.
USA.
Woo! Yes, the USA. Big boys on the block. They've come a long way since last year, and I must say I'm been super impressed. I think we gave them a bit of shit after last year they didn't qualify. They just a completely different looking crew this year. They won late qualifiers. They went on to Lucerne. They had one of the best performances I've seen an 8 give this whole cycle, and they just lost to the British 8. And I think the Americans.
You've just lost, and they've just raced that week before.
Yes, they've just raced the week before. So I think they are, without a doubt, super strong medal contenders. And I think if there's any crew that's going to beat the British for a gold, out of all these crews, the most likely, for some reason, I'm going to say the USA.
I'm going to say USA. They are the crew that, like,
I know
for me,
Australia.
Romania is more of a wild card.
Definitely.
Like, could win, could come 6.
Either
Not sure.
Let's go.
USA, I feel like, is going to be a serious contender on the podium
across all events.
No, in the 8. Yeah, I'm saying in the 8 they are going to be massively competitive with the British. Like, I think it'll be the British, USA. I don't know if Romania is going to trump them and come in, but I think it's going to go GB, USA. I want to say Romania. That's my base. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
Is that a safe bet? I've been throwing.
It's hard.
People have been giving me a bit of gears on my... I think the only safe
bet here is GB gold, Netherlands silver, USA bronze.
No Romania.
No Romania, no Australia. That's what
no
I'm going
Australia.
With. The problem is, like, I'm just...
So the we reason both didn't put Australia on the podium.
I'm saying the Netherlands are going to get silver medal because they've got that thing dialed. They finished silver last 2 world champs. Again, I feel like they've got a big point to prove. They came 5th at the Olympics last year. I mean, in Tokyo.
Every crew has a big point to prove. The British got snaked in Tokyo.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they got snaked, but...
Not snaked, but they did not perform the way they wanted to perform.
And this is basically... Most of the guys in that 8 in Tokyo are still here, and they're just better. So
listen to the chips. GB should have done better at Tokyo. Definitely upset with their result. The Dutch,
new generation's got something to prove.
The Dutch,
5th.
Yeah, 5th.
They're sick and tired of the row show giving them shit about always finishing second. Coming second.
Australia never won the 8.
They're backing it up.
USA haven't been on the podium since 2008. Massive history. Have been absolutely annihilated in the 8 by their women's section. So even that is probably
burning them
a little bit. And then
Romania.
We don't know.
We have no idea. We have no idea.
So
Shit.
spicy.
I mean, I didn't even, was Romania at the last
Who
Olympics?
else is in this event?
Romania came last in the rep of the last Olympics. So there we go.
Who else are we missing here? Who else is in the 8? Poland.
Germany and Italy.
Okay, but I don't think they're going to
Yeah,
show.
Italy, I think Italy had the most outrageous race at late qualifiers to win. They came from a full length down with 500 meters to go, and they beat Canada to come second. That was outrageous. And then Germany, obviously, they have a huge legacy.
That was actually ridiculous.
Do you remember that race?
You know,
that was outrageous, dude.
There was the
yes.
late final qualification. That is the epitome of how hardcore final qualification is.
Brutal.
And the Germans. Well, since they swapped, what's the name out?
Hannes Ocek.
Hannes.
Things haven't been the same.
You can't lose him and think you're going faster.
Yeah, I just think that there's things happening in Germany that are just not helping the 8. There's a lot of turmoil, and I think it's affecting their big boats in particular. So, yeah, the Germans are there, the Italians are there. Those are the 2 crews we haven't been speaking about. But in terms of the strong crews, these are the ones to.
Okay, so Jake, medal table, who's winning? GB.
I want to say GB,
it's gotta be.
But I can't. I want to say Dutch.
Ooh.
I want to say the Dutch. Okay, let's go through it, okay?
No, the Dutch might win.
Men's single?
Germany
or the Netherlands. And the GB Dutch, don't have a single sculler. Women's single sculler. GB don't have a women's single sculler. Dutch are in there. Pairs. GB has got a strong pair. Dutch don't have a pair.
Both.
No, they don't. Women's pair, the Dutch are the strongest. So the GB don't have a strong pair.
Women's 4, GB versus the Netherlands.
That's a big one.
Men's 4, no Netherlands.
GB, no the Netherlands. GB, all the Netherlands are there, but they're not quite in the same conversation.
Quad, Netherlands are up. Women's quad, GB are up.
But GB and the Netherlands are very close there. The doubles, men's double, Dutch. Women's double.
Okay. I'm going to say
the Dutch. I think the Dutch are coming.
The Dutch are going to
win the medal table. Yeah. I think the Dutch, GB, and then USA are going to turn up in a big way.
I hope so, but
no, I think Romania. Realistically, Romania come third, but I think Dutch will win the medal.
This is
table.
what we're saying. Like this is where I think there's going to be some results that are going to hurt the Romanians.
But I just think USA, they like Josie Verdonschot has done such a.
Well, we don't know
such a huge impact.
We'll
what do you mean they haven't done?
Week.
Look at the world champs.
Week. No, I agree with you.
I just want to start watching these games.
Yeah. So I'm flying out Friday afternoon.
You're out of here Friday?
Yeah. Bags are packed.
Are they?
No.
I don't expect them to be. Yeah, but you got a busy schedule. I looked at your schedule. You're not basically going to have a holiday when you get back here from what you had to go through in
go back,
Paris.
Have a rest. But I'll definitely be touching base with you guys. And I know James is going to step up and help you out on the episodes a bit.
James Brittain's going to be pulling in as sort of the home correspondence as Lawrence goes to Paris.
I'll give you the
Lawrence is going to sort of on site, gives us a bit of like live feedback from back in Paris. But myself and James are going to be running the ship back here, and we definitely got to be running consistently, putting out episodes, reviewing the heats, the semifinals, and every single A final. We're going to be reviewing and recording an episode. So we've got to be a busy time.
Just remember on our Patreons. First of all, we've got an awesome meetup on next week, Wednesday in Paris. Going to be very cool. So on our Patreon group, we'll be discussing that and getting details. Then remember, we've also got the Fantasy League. You need to get your entries in for Fantasy League before the first final comes down the track, which I think is next week, Tuesday.
Yes.
So that's absolutely crucial. Then but we'll also have a
medal predictions
for everyone, open to the public.
Yeah.
they will be able to go in, put your medal predictions on, and we will see who's. There's just no prize money available for that one.
No, just the Patreons are lucky enough to get the prize money.
And then what else, Jake?
I think that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for.
Is our third video episode.
And if you've noticed, the quality is outrageously good now.
Well, we'll see when I put it up. But yeah, we are now
in the business.
YouTubers.
Doesn't
really have the good ring to it.
Like and subscribe. That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe, and yeah, follow us on Patreon if you want. The games is absolutely incredible time to be part of our Patreon group. There'll definitely be so much bonus content, so much chatting on our WhatsApp group, and yeah, and then straight after the games, we're going to be interviewing all these new medalists from the games and hearing a whole heap of new stories. So we're super, super excited. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And yeah,
I think that's a wrap.
Guys, it is so exciting to be at Olympic fever again.
4 years of build up when we're finally here.
3
years of build up when we finally here. Came a bit quicker this time.
Nice. Cool.
All right, Lawrence.
Jake and everyone, enjoy. Until next time, we're out.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao, ciao.